Zondervan presents God's Economy, Redefining the Health and Wealth Gospel by Jonathan Wilson-Hartgrove. Read by Jonathan Peterson. Author's Note: This is a book for people who have a hunch that life is about more than our possessions, whether we have $2 in the bank or $2 million. If you have laid claim to the promise that the righteous will prosper in the earth, and you have a Bentley in your 4-car garage, I don't suppose I can convince you that God has other plans. I only pray that, like Job, you will stick with God if things go sour and the bank wants the Bentley back. But if you're not quite satisfied with the prosperity gospel and TV's ideal of success, this is a book for you. It's a celebration of God's economy, where the poor find bread and the rich find healing because we rediscover one another as friends, and we are not alone anymore. It's a book about abundant life, and I wrote it because I've seen enough true abundance that I can't help saying to everyone I meet on my journey, "Hey, listen, this might be what we're all waiting for. Want to come and see?" Foreword. One of the supreme ironies of American life is that the society that has talked and written most about the fulfillment of the self shows the least evidence of it. People obsessed with the cultivation of the self, the good life, the abundant life, have little to show for it but a cult of selfishness. The highest standard of living in the world has produced a bumper crop of obesity, anxiety, boredom, and meanness. Happily, there are numerous exceptions. Still, the generalization is plausible. Our world is splendidly filled with glorious things and a glorious gospel, but is appallingly lacking in persons who celebrate these glories with passion and share them with compassion. We're not the first to live like this. Augustine looked at the world around him and acerbically observed that his parishioners were more pained if their villa is poor than if their life is bad. Jonathan Wilson-Hartgrove has something to say about this. He writes out of the context of actual American communities that deliberately set themselves against a society that is impoverished by money, rich and poor alike, and discerningly observes what takes place, and has been taking place all over the world, among people who live on God's economy, the abundant life that Jesus promised, an economy of prosperity. His way of writing is through storytelling. He tells stories, and he is a magnificent storyteller. We're not handed statistics to evaluate, or ideas to ponder, or goals to pursue, but actual persons who embrace true prosperity, the abundant economy. The stories carry the good news. Woven into the stories are strands of theological discernment, trenchant scriptural exegesis, and cultural analysis. He writes engagingly about extending the beloved community that God invites us into and remembering what's at its heart, the radical abundance of a Father who loves without limit and gives without calculating the cost. The compelling element in these pages is the author's detailed immersion in the generosity of a way of life that develops when money is dethroned from the controlling center of our lives and the community is taken seriously as the place of abundance, the good life, a life of hospitality. There are no angry denunciations of the rich or the powerful or of government corruption. He works from the ground up, inviting our participation in the thousands of small acts on the margins that add up to a life of prosperity. This is no prophetic Jeremiah, nor is it a romantic spiritual fantasy of an economic utopia. Jonathan Wilson-Hartgrove is bearing witness. He has been living for years what he now writes. Trust him. I trust him. The Christian community so needs this witness, for we are all in perpetual danger of money. The American church seems to be particularly at risk as a secularized consumer mentality conditions us to evaluate our Christian life in terms of what we get out of it, and as celebrity preachers vaunt money, money, and more money as God's will for our lives. Not that money is immoral or evil in itself, but the words of Jesus and the experience of Christians everywhere